Hey makers, this is Dhruvin and I'm happy to announce that from today I'm starting my new step-by-step tutorial series on deployment pipelines. Again, most awaited topic and most requested topic from my YouTube comments, and here I come up with complete step-by-step professional level YouTube series. So this series is completely part of my YouTube Premium step-by-step series. Earlier as well, we already launched our YouTube Premium series on responsive canvas application, and thank you so much for amazing response. So many of the members are already connected with us on our premium membership, and now this is the second series underneath the same premium plan we are having along. But this first episode is completely 100% free, so you can watch it out over here and take an idea that what is going to be happen in throughout the series and what you are going to learn into the overall series. So this episode you can completely watch it 100% free, but from second episode onwards you just need to be a part of the YouTube Premium membership. So without further delay, let's get started and talk about what we are going to learn into today's episode. So today's episode we will start with the introduction of ALM in the world of Power Platform world, because we all know this is a little bit advanced topic in the world of Power Platform, because once your environment and once you are done with your solution development, after that this deployment come up into picture, and most of the organizations are nowadays expecting ALMs to be implemented as a part of their organization's best practices. So we will start our journey by understanding first of all the ALM concept in Power Platform world. Then we'll talk about what are the pipelines in the world of Power Platform. After that, we'll talk about what are the benefits of using the deployment pipeline for Power Platform, and what are the steps required in order to set up the pipeline in order for real world application. We'll start looking at the environment overview for pipeline setup, and then in today's class we will set up our first personal deployment pipeline over here. We will do first very basic deployment over here at the end of this particular session. But this series is not finished up just by this one episode over here. What I have planned for the other episode, let's have a quick look around that as well. I have divided this entire series into 6 different parts, and along with that there is more learning over here. In the first episode where you are at this point right now, it is all about the very basic introduction video where we will talk about deployment pipeline from scratch, and we will do our first basic personal deployment pipeline for our project development. But again, when we are in the deployment, it's not just limited to a very simple straightforward deployment. We are having a very complex solution with us sometimes with deployment, like it has lots of environment variable, lots of configuration, lots of connection. So how best we can move all those things smoothly with the production, that is all about my second episode where we will enhance our personal pipeline with multiple stages along with some more environment variable, some more connection references and all, and perform that end-to-end deployment. Then in episode number 3, we will start setting up the enterprise level custom host pipeline. Now what is custom host pipeline? If I give you an overall idea, is most of the time at enterprise level application design, or specifically at enterprise level where more and more teams are working underneath the organization, at the time they are creating one common host environment. What is that host environment? Where your pipelines are hosted, okay, and there are specific roles being granted to the people to utilize that particular pipeline. So what happened here is not each individual environment needed to be set up as a deployment pipeline. You can have one environment which is a common environment which is shared with all the DevOps people who are doing this overall deployment activity, and you can perform the cross environment deployment using that particular pipelines. Alright, so how to set up that overall structure like infrastructure, we will talk about that in detail over there. Then we will go one more level up into episode number 4 where we will set up the pipeline with the approvals. Nowadays, most of the time at enterprise level solution when you are looking into, this is the common requirement most of the time they have, that okay, you deploy or you develop something into the dev and then you are moving to the prod, of course, before going to the prod, it should go for an approval for a specific people. Once they approve it, after then only you should be able to move that thing to the production environment. Then how you can do it over here. And along with that, we'll also talk about like in this overall pipeline course that, okay, not only just one environment to another environment deployment, but sometimes you are having multi-stage deployment like development to U8 and then production. Then how you can manage those scenarios. We'll also talk about that step by step into this overall series. All right. Then my next topic is deployment pipeline with the service principal. Many organizations prefer service principal as their best practices or as a part of their deployment pipeline. So if you are someone who wanted to create a service principal and wanted to use that service principal for all your connection references, all your deployment, how you can utilize that particular feature with the deployment pipelines, we'll talk about that in detail. And at last, we will deploy the complex solution end to end. So we will go with one complex scenario where we will be having everything into one environment, like your Canvas application, like your model driven application, your connection references, your Power Automate flows over there. And once we deploy it, after that, what are the things we need to consider in the mind? We'll also talk about that. Alright, so initially right now in my mind, I have this 6 episodes of series, okay, that covers the entire deployment pipeline series over here. Alright, now let's say for an example, if you are already using a deployment pipeline and if you already want to request me something to add or remove from this overall course content, not removal because ultimately this is the base I'm going to talk about, but if you are having some sort of thoughts around what else to be added into this one, feel free to provide your valuable feedback into the comment section. I would happy to hear from you because right now I just started this series, so I can of course cover up over here. Like in Canvas application responsive app as well, like initially we planned when we did our first episode, we just planned for 8 episodes, but again when we start developing the series, I get lots of feedback, and depending on that we added more and more series episodes over here. So you need to always look out our playlist for the latest episodes that we are having. It just not 6, but it will be more as well. But again, like you just consider as your overall course like this one at this point. Alright, so this is all about the overall course outline that I am going to cover throughout end to end into this particular plan. Alright, now let me talk about, many of you are asking me that Dhruvin, you have already published lots of episodes on YouTube, is 100% free, then why you are making this course as premium? Again, I already answered this into one of my existing series on responsive Canvas application, but I just wanted to talk about this thing over here. So basically YouTube Premium is basically a win-win situation for both content creators like me as well as content consumers like you. Alright, we are basically delivering high quality structured and real world applicable training throughout this premium particular program, and basically this is require in-depth practical content so that you can directly leverage it for your real world application. Again, whenever you are watching one of the episode on our YouTube with this particular kind of forces, it requires lots of effort behind the scene in order to generate these whole things, and that's something definitely it should be rewarded. That's the main key reason why we are having this premium course over here. Again, the costing is not that much, guys. It is just less than a cost of one medium size of pizza which you are consuming during your weekend. It's just 5,999 Indian rupees per month, and this amount is directly going to YouTube. We are not collecting any amount over here, and again it's more affordable, practical and life changing. And again, like in premium course, like whenever you go with the premium program, you are not just getting access of this only one course, because in YouTube Premium you are getting all the exclusive premium content that I already published on my YouTube channel, so probably you can explore that out as well. Alright, now let me just quickly show you that how you can enroll into the YouTube Premium membership program. Right now you are already on my YouTube watch page, and overall probably if you are not already a member, you can able to see the join button over here, or maybe you can just go to the home page and click on the join button over here, and when you click on join button, basically it will ask you for sign in, and basically you can sign in over there. Again, if you just wanted to explore that what are the premium exclusive content we are having, so see, this already one series is something which we have deployed on our YouTube already. It's like 8 to 10 episode of series of responsive Canvas application application, that is already included within the same price range. And again, this is one more additional series we are going to have it over here. YouTube Premium membership is not just limited to the one course. Here we are trying to deliver more and more practical and hands-on based training programs over here. Again, that doesn't mean that our live training programs are not there. Always we are having every month live training program underneath powerplatformtrainings.com. You can always visit our website for the latest training course information. Let me not make this video more promotional, because most of you are already aware about this YouTube Premium membership, and already many of you already started using this particular membership over there. So yeah, looking forward to you. But this is what I just wanted to tell you from the beginning of the course itself, so there is no surprises at the end. Alright, and if you are someone who don't want to enroll into premium membership, that's totally fine. You are my valuable user over here. Try to utilize all the free content which we already have on YouTube, with 1000+ video content which you can exclusively watch it over there. Alright, so without further delay, let's get started and talk about today's session agenda that we are going to have it for you. So first of all, let me explain you what is ALM into the world of Power Platform, and why do we require this overall deployment pipeline, and what is the significance of that. Alright, most of the time you have seen that whenever we do any kind of development, not only into Power Platform but in any programming world in IT, generally deployment is a very key concern. No matter it's a .NET development, or it's a Java development, or it's any kind of programming language development, right? So generally ALM is a key aspect for the deployment perspective. Basically it involves planning, development, testing, deployment, so many different things. What is the full form of ALM? It is called as the Application Lifecycle Management. And typically in the IT, how ALM works. So generally, devs are starting working into development environment. After dev is finished, basically they are doing UAT, or sometimes they are doing testing. Okay, so again, like it depends from organization to organization structure. Sometimes for smaller project, they are directly moving to dev to test. Sometimes before going for a more level of testing, they are having UAT and then they are having testing. It depends. And after that, once they are all happy, they are moving this whole solution into prod. So once it is go to prod, basically it's a production ready, right? So this entire cycle of the software development is considered as an ALM, Application Lifecycle Management, which ensures apps and automations are delivered with quality and consistency. And in the world of Power Platform, the ALM can be applied on each object underneath Power Platform module, no matter if it is your Power Apps Canvas application, or Power Apps model driven application, or Power Automate Cloud Flows, or Copilot Studio Chat Agent, or it is a Power Pages site. No matter what you are building over there, everything can be deployed with the help of ALM over here. Alright, so this is like a base idea of the ALM. So ALMs are nothing but basically it's a setup that organizations follow to deploy their solution in a smoother fashion. Alright, now the question arises that, okay, ALM, this one word we understand. Now what about the pipelines? What do we mean by that, right? Isn't it sound cool, like word pipeline, right? Because this is like in many interviews as well, I'm seeing that interviewers are asking as well, like what is deployment pipelines and all, right? Now let's explore that part as well. So basically pipelines in the Power Platform are the built-in deployment automation for the solution. Now what do we mean by that deployment automation solution? So generally, let me tell you one aspect over here. Right now in the world of Power Platform, whenever you are developing something, usually you are doing with the solution, right? Solutions are the only artifact in the Power Platform which supports the overall ALM and this deployment pipeline. Now what do I mean by that? Let me just prove that point over here. Alright, generally this is my Power Platform environment, right? And generally I have seen that most of the time, if you are opening your Power Apps homepage, you are able to see the solution artifacts over here. Okay, so when you are having your artifacts within the solution, then only this overall ALM concept come up into picture, because solutions are the only artifacts who supports the ALM in the world of Power Platform. Alright, let's say for an example, if you are not using the solution, and maybe let's say for an example, if you are someone who just started building the Canvas application using just this create option, and you just created with this blank Canvas app and develop it, right? It's not in a solution, right? Then you cannot be able to implement the ALM by default. For that, you need to do some steps. You need to create a solution, you need to add your existing stuff within the solution, and then you can perform the overall deployment over here. Alright, these are some key things you need to consider in the mind, that solutions are the ALM supported artifacts. So the number one necessary condition is whatever you want to deploy over there, it should be a part of one of the Power Platform solution over there. Alright, so this is one thing I just wanted to highlight it out. Alright, now second thing you need to consider is that Microsoft Power Platform already have the mechanism of import and export for any person to deploy from one environment to another environment. Even if you look out the solution, and let's say for an example, this is one solution I have, let's say for an example. Alright, when I select the solution over here, there is always a manual method already available, like export a solution, which means that it will download the zip package. You can export it as a managed package or unmanaged package and simply deploy it to your target environment. Right? So this export import mechanism is already there for Power Platform solution. So let's say this is my solution, I can manually do it over here. Alright, but this is more a manual way of deploying the solution, which means that you are exporting it manually, then you are going to the target environment, and then you are importing into the manual way. Alright, but deployment pipeline is making this process much more simpler by providing the automated deployment pipeline. And nowadays, most of you are able to see this deployment option underneath your solution itself over here. Or not, say for here, it's not appear. Then if you just go over here, underneath pipeline as well, in each solution, you can able to see the pipeline option. Alright, generally you are not able to see this thing at this point if you are in the fresh environment, but this is what it is usually appearing underneath the pipeline. And this pipeline is something which we are going to explore into throughout this particular session. These are called as a native pipeline, but on top of that, you can customize the pipeline as well. And for that, of course, you will require some sort of host environment and some other best practices you need to follow over there for enterprise level pipeline design. Alright, but from here, at least you can able to start your journey. Now, this is what I'm talking about by mean of pipeline over here. So basically, pipeline in the Power Platform are the built-in deployment automation for the solution, which enables CI/CD. Again, like this is another word which you are hearing in your day-to-day routine, which means that continuous integration, continuous delivery. Again, this is one DevOps word, CI and CD. Okay, it's not just only for Power Platform, it's just for any kind of solution deployment in DevOps word. This is the word which is being used over here, continuous integration and continuous delivery. All right, which is designed to be used by makers, admins and developers to make their life much more simpler and easier. And basically it simplifies the moving of solution between environment just within the fraction of seconds, which means that you can quickly move it your solution from one environment to another environment. Again, if you are my already very old user, if you recall 2 years back, I think I deployed one of the step-by-step series on Azure DevOps pipeline, right? Azure DevOps pipeline is again very popular methodology for deploying the solution. But again, DevOps pipeline, Azure DevOps pipeline require lots of complexity, right? You need to set up the DevOps project. You need to have some sort of knowledge of Visual Studio, overall Visual Studio DevOps over there. And again, there are different set of role you need to consider, and you need to set up your completely classic pipeline over there. And that pipeline is doing that whole automation for you. Again, you are using some sort of PEX-CLI command over there, right? It was a very, I can say, like, compared to this pipeline, it was a little bit harder, right? So that's why this native pipeline is like a boon for all the creators like us, like who is not having too much knowledge of the Azure DevOps. They can simply utilize this natively, and it handle everything natively over here, and managing your pipelines much more smoother and easier. All right. So this is like a baseline of the deployment pipeline. Now, let's try to understand one more aspect over here, that why to use pipeline, right? Why we can't just go with the manual deployment route, and why to go with this whole complex structure of deploying the solutions, right? So what are the advantages that you are getting with this Power Platform deployment pipelines? So let me tell you, when you are using the deployment pipelines, admin can easily configure the pipelines in minutes rather than days or weeks. As I said, like my previous example, like earlier we are having DevOps pipeline. DevOps pipeline will take almost like a 1 or 2 days of complete setup, as well as you need to do lots of coordination with the person who is managing the DevOps at the enterprise level. And again, it require your DevOps licenses, as well as you are working with the Power Platform as well. So your Power Platform licensing as well also come up into picture. So it's very I cannot say it's a very difficult, because obviously like earlier we are doing that already, right? But again, this on top of that, this pipeline is something which is much more easier, and which is just making your life much more simpler, right? So it's very, very helpful. Second important aspect of using this pipeline is makers have an intuitive user experience for easily deploying the solution. Now, what do I mean by that, right? Let me just show you one thing over here. This is just like a high level idea. We'll go into detail over here, right? See this UI, right? UI is very simpler over here, right? Like again, like let's say for an example, this is my development, this is my production. If I just want to move it, it's just couple of steps. I just click on the button and it just do the deployment for me. Again, it's very easy to use for makers as well. They don't need to do lots of configuration. They can see all the run history as well, that okay, how many things are successful, how many things are not successful, right? They can see everything over here at a one central place itself. So it's very easy experience for the makers as well to deploy their solution. Again, professional developers, let's say for an example, this is two easy things we talk about, like admin perspective and maker perspective. But let's say for an example, if you are a pro code person, or maybe you are a professional developer, right, and you want to extend this pipeline, right? What do I mean by extension? Extension means like you want to add some more additional step, you want to include some approval processes, you want to add some pre-deployment stages before you deploy your pipeline, right? You can add those things very easily, or you can extend this thing easily with the Power Platform deployment pipeline. So it offers that pro code developer extensibility as well, which we are obviously going to talk about into upcoming episode, where we will develop the pipeline with the host environment. We will add multiple stages over that will include the approval process and all. So you will get a better idea around that. So it's like a more complex pipeline as well. You can build it over here, right? But as this is the first episode, we are not going into that nth level of detailing, at least in the first episode. But these are some advantages you are getting by using this particular pipeline over here. All right. Now, let's talk about what do pipelines actually deploy, right? This also question come up into the picture, that generally for what kind of deployment I should use this deployment pipeline. So basically, as I said, solutions are the only artifacts in the Power Platform world which is supporting the ALM capability, right? So basically it deploys solution across the environment. Now, what is included into the solution? In solution we can add so many things. We already know that if you are a Power Platform person, and if you already aware about the solution, right? So when you go to the solution object, when you go to the add existing, see so many different things you can add it over here. All of those things can be included as a part of your deployment pipeline. All right. Of course, like some of the things are the limitations, which I will talk about in gradually while we are going with step-by-step series steps. Okay. Now, number one thing is that when you deploy the solution, it includes all your configuration along with your solutions. So in your solution, you are having your connections, you are having your connection references, you are having your environment variable, you are having your code files, everything will be covered over here. Basically, it moves all the customizations content into the solution. All right. Now, another question most of the time people are asking me, that Dhruvin, when you are moving this solution, does it mean that sometimes you are having master data in your Dataverse table and all, it moves those as well? No, that will not move along with that, right? This is not a data migration tool, right? Remember one thing, data migration, we are having other XRM toolbox utilities available. And again, like data migration, there are different aspects also we need to consider in the mind. Sometimes people are migrating the data using data flow, sometimes they are using some sort of Excel export import, sometimes they are writing some SSIS packages, sometimes they are migrating the data using XRM toolbox. There are so many different ways to migrate the data, right? But pipelines what actually do, because it's a solution pipeline, it's not like a data migration tool, right? It's not claiming as that. So it's not migrating the data or stable data. It just move your packages from one environment to another environment, right? So that is what it is as a part of deployment pipeline. All right. Now let's talk about that how we can set up the pipeline in the world of Power Platform. Again, this is the first episode, that's why you can able to see certain set of slides on my machine, right? Moving forward from upcoming episodes, you will not see much more slides. We'll mostly deal with the screen itself or screen interface onto the Power Platform side. So there are mainly two ways to set up the pipeline into the Power Platform. All right. Number one is platform host, and second one is custom host. Now, what do we mean by these two ways of set up the pipeline? It is very important to know, because most of the trying on today's world on YouTube, search on this topic, Power Platform deployment pipeline. Most of the videos that you are able to see on the screen is all about like people are doing the pipeline setup, and they are doing model driven application and all, those steps people are performing over there, right? But what is that, right? There are some easy ways as well to set up the pipeline. Sometimes you are not having so much complex structure at your project level, then you don't need to go with this whole long route of custom hosting of your solution, right? Microsoft already making the life simpler for developers by just introducing the native pipeline as well. So let's understand these two topics over here. So number one is platform host. Okay, now what do we mean by platform host? So this methodology is the default tenant-wide platform host, which can be configured by the makers. It's a very easy step. Okay, when you are not having any custom host setup into your Power Platform level, by default, Microsoft, whenever you open your solution, right, and whenever you are able to see, again, like obviously like minimum system customizer role is required in order to see this into your Power Platform space. But again, you are able to see this deployment option, or maybe whenever you open any of the particular solution, and when you go to this particular pipeline, this is called as a default pipeline setup over here for the organization. Okay, and it is considered as a platform host, which means that default tenant-wide platform host, which can be configured by the makers. So as a maker as well, you can configure it, right? You don't require so many skill set in order to set it up. In today's class itself, we are going to set up our first platform host pipeline within few minutes, which is really amazing, and it can move your solution smoothly from one environment to another environment, right? So this is one method which is out of the box and native method, which doesn't require so much configuration over there. All right, this is one method. Second method is custom host method. Again, when you are working in the big MNC or big companies, right, they are dedicatedly managing a separate environment for the deployment, which means that your solution is a part of some different environment. Then they are having the deployment pipeline into their separate environment, and they are moving the solution into some other target environment. Okay, so many different aspects are there for custom host environment. Again, when you are building the whole custom host environment for yourself, there are a couple of things you need to consider in the mind, like licensing. Along with that, like how the access part is going to be work. You need to provide some access role over there so that certain people can perform that specific role and do the deployment, and they can just utilize their pipeline over there. So many different things come up into picture, like licensing, security roles, and so many different aspects. Okay, we'll talk about that into upcoming episode. In this entire series, I'm going to talk about both the methods. First, we will start in this episode with this base method. So in today's episode as well as in the next episode, we will completely focus on the platform host. Okay, but from class number 3 onwards, we will start focusing on the custom host over here. Okay, so you will get it both covered over here, and then you can make a decision for your organization that okay, which pipeline you would like to go with. Alright, so let's get started with our first journey for platform host. Okay, and again, as I said, custom host is mainly admin configure a custom host to centrally govern Citizen LED and Pro Dev LED projects, basically. Okay, so basically admins is as I said, like there is one common environment, right, where they provide, where they completely set up your completely pipeline, and from there your devs can manage the things, right? But first 2 episodes we will focus on the platform host pipeline over here, which is natively available inside your Power Platform environment. All right, so let's get started with that journey from scratch. All right, but before that, we need to understand some of the prerequisites over here in order to set up the personal host pipeline. All right, so number one thing is that, again, like how you want to set up your personal pipeline, it's totally up to you, right? Whether you want to set up like one, let's say for an example, you are having your solution into one of the development environment, right? Then what level of customization you want over there? You want dev from U8 and then from U8 to prod, you want into that fashion, or you just want that, okay, only one level like dev to another U8, or maybe let's say for an example, sometimes you don't have the U8, you have development and then directly prod, then you just wanted to do it like this prod, right? That's something you need to decide over here. All right, so couple of prerequisites are there in order to set up the deployment pipeline. Number one thing is that your environment should be ready, and maximum with native pipeline, which means that this platform host pipelines, you can set up maximum 3 environments over here. Okay, one would be your development environment and another 2 will be your target environment. Target environment can be anything, whether it will be your QA environment, UAT environment, test environment, or it can be your production environment, right? It can be anything. All right, now second thing is that all the environment used in the pipeline must have a Dataverse database, which means that when you are setting up your environment, Dataverse database which should be turned on for that particular thing. All right, and last one is all the environment used in the pipeline must be enabled as a managed environment. Now, what is managed environment? If you don't know, I have a dedicated video on that. I provide the link in the description box. Check it out over there. So generally, managed environment, if I just explain you at the very high level, what do we mean by managed environment? Is managed environment is nothing but it is a special type of environment which Microsoft Power Platform is offering, where once you enable your environment as a managed environment, what happens here is no matter whether you are using standard connectors or premium connectors, every user in the premium environment or a managed environment will require a premium license of your product. Whether it's the Power Automate Premium or Power Apps Premium, they must require it. Even though you are just building the SharePoint application and you are just using normal Canvas application, usually it is a standard connector and you don't require Power Apps license for that. But when you are making the managed environment, no matter it's a SharePoint connector app or it's a Dataverse connector app, everywhere it require a premium connector over there, premium licenses over there, right? So that is a managed environment. Managed environment providing you lots of capability, and specifically managed environment are providing so many facility of limit sharing, mainly the governance aspects, so many other configuration related security, deployment pipeline, and so many premium features. If you are not aware about what is managed environment, just check out my previous episode. I'm just providing the link in the description box as well, so do check it out over there and explore that managed environment over there. All right, but again, there are some twists as well over here. Like not every time when you are setting up the pipeline, you would require the managed environment to be enabled for your organization. All right, sometimes, let's say for an example, when we actually start implementing this from step by step into this class, you will get an idea that when do you require your target environment to be managed by the managed environment. Okay, let's have a quick look around that, and now let's get started by setting up our deployment pipeline from scratch in this episode. Alright, so let me just move over myself to the Power Apps environment and start this particular journey. Before that, here, if you want to take 5-minute break for yourself, take a break, because we talked about so many things over here. Alright, and then get started. As this is the continuous video, I am starting it from here itself. Here I am on my machine and you can see Power Apps home screen at this point on my page. And right now I am in my solution over here. I have already created one solution called Power Apps Class 02, and if I open that particular solution over here, I just have 2 Canvas application into this particular solution. Now, I just wanted to move this solution from one environment to another environment. That is my exercise over here. And overall here, we are going to use the native deployment pipeline that is available as a part of platform host into the Power Platform world. And we are going to explore that over here. Alright, so let's get this journey over here. But before that, I just wanted to talk about a couple of things over here. Let's say for an example, currently I am on which environment? Let's say right now I am on this environment, PowerApps Patch 22, where my solution is originating. So this is called as my source environment where I am having this solution available. Now I wanted to move this solution from this one environment to the another environment that I am having, right? Now, how to plan this environment thing over there for yourself? Because why I am saying is that, let's say for an example, consider this is your development environment, right? And now from development, you want to move it to your production environment, to your prod environment, right? This is one simple deployment we are doing right now into this particular episode, right? So first of all, let's plan the environment. To plan out the environment, let's go to the setting gear from your PowerApps homepage and click on the admin center. Once you go there, you are able to see all the environments available for your organization underneath this environment section. Right now, you can see that I have this particular environment as my sandbox environment, which is my development environment I am considering right now. From this development environment, I wanted to move my solution to my target production environment. And for that, I need to set up one managed environment for myself. So let's plan out one production environment for myself. So what I'm doing here is I'm just creating new environment from the scratch for my production perspective. For that, let me provide a name over here that Power Platform Deployment Pipeline prod. Okay, and this is the switch I am talking about. Whenever you are using deployment pipeline for the production, right, at that time you must need to set your target environment as a managed environment. Okay, this is one of the prerequisites, right? But here there are some twists as well. Now what do I mean by that? Let me talk about that. Okay, in the world of Power Platform, you can create the different type of environment, and those type of environments are described over here. You can create the developer environment, production environment, trial environment, and sandbox environment in your environments, right? Now let me tell you, when you required or when it is required to make this environment as a managed environment, you need to make this environment as a managed environment during the deployment pipeline when you are setting up any target environment with the type of sandbox or production. For developer or trial type of environment, you don't need to set that up as a managed environment, because developer environment is just like your development POC kind of environment, and trial environment already cover up like your trial kind of environment, right? So for that you don't need to make as a managed environment. All right, but when you are having your target environment as a type of sandbox or production, at the time you must need to enable this particular switch. Remember that thing. To use deployment pipeline, it's a premium only feature for managed environment only. You need to convert your environment to the managed environment. Remember one thing over here, okay? But exceptions I already talk about. For that, if your target is let's say for an example, if you just want to do one development environment to another development environment, you don't require this managed environment to set up. It's just like your dev to dev, then it's its type is developer environment, then it's 100% free, right? And there is a simple table as well Microsoft has provided over here, particularly at this point. park this particular point because host environment, what do I mean by that? I haven't covered up over here. But just consider right now this scenario that let's say you have developer type of environment for development, you have another developer type of environment for QA, and you have production environment for production purpose, right? Now sometimes people are using sandbox environment as well for production, right? It's totally up to them, right? So at that time what happen here is when you are doing development to QA deployment, at that time you don't require any kind of managed environment over there. But let's say for an example, when you make the development to production over here, so right now you are deploying into a production one, then of course this production environment is to be set up as your managed environment, right? Developer environment or source environment doesn't need it to be marked as a managed environment. Okay, so remember that particular thing. All right, now I'm just moving back to my solution over here and let's continue from there. So over here, what I'm doing here is, this is my Power Platform deployment pipeline production environment, where is my target environment, and I just want to mark that as a production environment. Okay, so I'm just having production environment over here, and also you need to make sure that you need to add this Dataverse data source over here, because deployment pipeline require Dataverse always behind the scene. So I'm just turning on Dataverse data storage. Always remember one thing, to create an environment as well, you need to require a capacity available at your Dataverse level. So if capacity is available, then only you will be able to create this type of environment, right? I'm just having it over here. Click on next and let's set up our production environment at this point. I'm just going to the next part. It's just asking me the security aspect over here. So I'm just clicking on select option over here and selecting simply none at this point. All right. And if you are someone who has from Dynamics 365 background and wanted to enable some Dynamics module, you need to enable this switch as well. But here I am not a Dynamics person, so I'm not enabling that switch for myself. And I'm simply clicking on save to create my production environment over here from the scratch. So this will be considered as my target environment where I wanted to move my solution. Usually environment creation process will take some moments, so let's wait for a couple of minutes in order to set this up ready. And you can always see this kind of message that your new environment Power Platform deployment pipeline prod is preparing. It can be used once it is ready. All right, so simply my goal is, this is my source environment, which is a type of sandbox, and from this environment I wanted to move my solution to this target. Okay, so let's wait for a moment for these environments to be created, and you can see here the status as well. It's still preparing over here. Now let me just refresh the status to see the latest reflection over here, and now it is just saying me that it's ready for me. So my production environment is ready. Generally after your environment is ready, just wait for some moments and then switch yourself to the target environment. So here I am right now on my source environment at this point, which is PowerApps Batch 22. Now I simply need to refresh my screen to check my production environment is ready or not. So I'm just refreshing my screen over here, and now over here you can see this environment section over here. Click on that, and overall here you can able to see the another environment called Power Platform Deployment Pipe Prod. So this is my prod environment which I just prepared. Let's click on that and see whether this environment is there or not, and let's just see the solution part over here. So this is my production environment which is ready. If I'm going to the solution, this is what I can see. It's a plain vanilla canvas environment over here for myself. So this is my target environment. Now let me just do some rough work over here. Number one is, what is my source environment? Okay, my source environment over here is PowerApps Batch 22 is my source environment, and what is the type of that environment is sandbox type. All right, and what is my target environment? My target environment is this PP Power Platform Deployment Pipeline prod, right? This is my target environment. Okay, and what is the type of my target environment? My target type is production. Okay, now as we know the principle of using the deployment pipeline, you need to make your production environment as a managed environment, right? The switch that I have shown you when setting up the environment. Okay, at the time we did not turn on that switch, right? Intentionally I did not turn on that. If you want, you can turn out from the beginning itself, but I wanted to showcase that feature that, okay, if you stop that, what would be happen? because ultimately this Power Platform is smartly managed. If you try to utilize this out, it will throw you an error at this point as well, that okay, you didn't make it as a managed environment, and you can do it on the later stage as well. Okay, so now let's have a look around that. So this is my target environment. All right, now what I'm doing here is I'm just duplicating my tab and I'm opening my source and target both in a parallel. Okay, so first of all, what I'm doing here is I'm simply having my PowerApps Batch 22 environment enabled for myself. So I'm just opening this up at this point. All right, now overall, I want to move this particular solution PowerApps class 02. And first, let's set up our first pipeline from the scratch. And for that, what I'm doing here is I'm simply opening this solution over here, and this is the platform host pipeline. So you can create it by your own. It doesn't require so many different aspects for yourself, even as a developer, or if someone who has created the solution and in your tenant level there are no other pipeline setup as a host environment, you can able to set up by your own. Okay, but in your enterprise organization, if some already host pipeline is set up, then probably you will face some challenges over here. All right, but assuming you are on the plain vanilla environment, so let's set up this configuration pipeline from the scratch, and this is the platform host pipeline. All right, so open your solution and go to this deployment pipeline section over here. All right, when you are opening for the first time, probably you are able to see nothing into this particular section, so just park it over here. All right, simply you need to click on create pipeline option from the top corner. Let's click on that. Once you create the pipeline, it is asking you three things. You need to provide your name, provide the description of the pipeline, and you need to select your target environment from the list over here. All right. Now, as I said, two prerequisites. Number one, the target environment should be the Dataverse environment, and it should be in the same region as your source environment is residing. All right. So what I'm doing right now is simply I'm creating my environment name as I'm just creating the simple pipeline as YouTube first pipeline, first deployment pipeline. Okay, I'm just creating this kind of name for my pipeline. You can provide any valid name for your pipeline, and I'm just providing the name over here. This pipeline move solution from dev to prod. Okay, just two stage I wanted to have, dev to prod. That's it, right? And let's set up the target environment. So I'm setting up my target environment, which we just created out over here. Power Platform deployment pipe prod, right? This is my target environment. All right. So now let's select that environment. All right. And now let's try to click on save option over here. As soon as you click on save option, see, this is the warning you will get it over here that yes, you need to enable the manage environment for yourself, which means that this environment that you are having over here, you did not make it as a managed environment, and for the deployment pipeline you need to make it as a managed environment. So you need to enable that. For that, click on this link, and once you do that, you just click on the button, it will try to make that environment as a managed environment. Okay, so let's wait for a moment, and you can see that it created the pipeline. And to double sure that this particular environment is a managed environment or not, let's go to the Power Platform Admin Center one more time over here. I'm just refreshing my screen over here, and now you can see that as soon as you click on that button, it automatically make this environment as a managed environment over here. Earlier it was not the managed environment. You can always go back to the previous part of the video and see that what was that at this point. Okay, and now even if you just want to double sure over here, you can just click on that and make sure that that is marked as a managed environment. Okay, so if I click on over here at this point, probably you will be able to see this thing out over here, whether it's a managed environment or not. So here I am, I just opening this up. Let's see. See, here you are able to see an option on the top called edit manage environment. So it is already a managed environment, and you can see all the managed environment feature over here as well. If you wanted to turn off the managed environment, you can do it on the later stage as well. But this is what it looks like over here as a managed environment. Okay, so it's already managed environment. already it make it up over here, even though initially if you haven't make it up, and it has created this pipeline successfully. And this is what your deployment pipeline looks like. So this is your pipeline, YouTube first deployment pipeline, and you can see your source as your development, and this is your target, Power Platform deployment prod environment. Okay, Power Platform deployment pipeline prod environment. Right, now let's perform the deployment, and now let's deploy our first package using the deployment pipeline. Right, and now you can see other pipelines as well over here, but this is what you develop as your first pipeline, so it's showing you over here. Now let's go back over here, and now let me just go here and click on Power Apps Class 02 solution. It's fairly simple solution because this is our first deployment, so we are not making it too much complicated, and simply going over here underneath the pipeline section and selecting the newly created pipeline that we are having. So I selected my first deployment pipeline over here, and my source is this environment, and you can see the solution version over here, and this is your target environment. Right now if you go to your target, you cannot see any more solution in the managed solution, and by default deployment pipeline always deploy the managed solution. Okay, so let's say over here I am, and this is my development environment. Okay, development to prod, I just wanted to do this deployment. So you can see your source, and this is your target, right? And the host pipeline allow maximum 2 stages, development, and this is another one, and you can add one more over here using the add stage option, but this is what we will cover in the next episode. Okay, but let's do it over here, like development to prod I just want to do here, and I'm just clicking on deploy here. When you do deploy here, basically it is selecting this pipeline by default. Again, this is a fairly very simple solution, so it's not asking me for any environment variable configuration or connection reference configuration, but when you are doing a very complex one, it will ask you, but that's something we are going to do into upcoming class, but not right away. All right, and currently there are 2 ways. You can either do the deployment right now, or you can schedule for the later purpose. So when you select the later, you just need to provide the date and time, and on that date and time it will automatically deploy your package from one environment to another environment. Okay, I just wanted to utilize the deployment schedule as now because I just wanted to deploy it now. So I'm just selecting now, click on next, and as soon as you click on next, basically it will start deploying the package from one environment to another environment. It will check whether it has any dependencies or not. It will add those things. It will validate everything over here, and if there are some issues or there are some errors, it will throw you the error as well at this point. But it's fairly simple solution. Let it to be validated. It will take some moments over here. So as this is the continuous video, let me just have this validated over here into this fashion, and here we are. See, it's validated perfectly, and it's just showing you your target stuff over here. So you are using this pipeline. Your stage will be this one, which means that you are moving that to your prod environment over here. This is your display name, publisher name, and what would be your version, and it automatically added the deployment notes as well for yourself. Okay, it's AI generated deployment notes, right? And if you want to keep it, you can. Otherwise you want to add some more stuff as well if you want. And now I'm simply clicking on deploy option over here, and as soon as you click on deploy, it will start deploying the solution for yourself. And you can see the progress of your deployment over here using this circular bar. It will take some time, and again it depends on your solution size, that how much your solution size is. Depending on that, it will just make that decision. So let it to be done. It will take some moments. Let's wait for here. I am pausing my video over here for a moment. Usually it takes around 2 to 3 minutes. Depending on the solution size, it will take some time. So let's wait over here. And here I am. After 2 minutes, my solution is successfully deployed, and you can see that last successfully installed version is this one, and this is where your package is being deployed, and you are done with your deployment. Right now, let's verify the deployment is successful over there or not. So let me go to the target environment. So either you can simply click on this option, go to this environment, and basically it will redirecting you to the target environment. So let's wait over here. So you redirected yourself to the target one. go to the solution and click on the manage environment section because it deploy as a managed package. And here I am. See, amazingly 1 minute ago it just deployed this package completely for myself, and this is where I am. And now if I'm opening my solution, it's just showing me that okay, you cannot directly edit the objects within the managed solution because we know that managed solution don't allow any editing after the deployment. And simply you can see both the apps are deployed successfully over here into the target environment. Isn't it cool and amazing? And here you are with the first episode. You created your first basic pipeline within few minutes, right? Isn't it cool, right? Now if you wanted to be more expert over here, and now we are going to do next level of customization in the pipeline. In the next episode we will add multiple stages over here. We will play around with the environment variables. We will play around with the connection references, right, in the upcoming episode. So just wait for the next episode in the next week, and see you all over there. Alright, hopefully this video is helping you and valuing your time. Guys, please hit thumbs up over here, so at least I will get to know that whether it makes sense for you or not, or whether it's valuing your time or not. I just wanted to hear it from you. Alright, your feedback and suggestions are most valuable for me. Please feel free to provide your valuable feedback into the comment section. What do you feel about this whole series? What do you want to see next from me into this particular series? Feel free to provide that feedback into the comment section. I'm happy to hear from you. Alright, so that's it for today. If you are for the first time to my channel, make sure you hit thumbs up and subscribe my channel. Your subscription is helping me a lot to grow myself. Alright, second thing, this is the premium membership. So if you want to continue watching the second episode, make sure you click on the join button over here. The cost is 599 Indian rupees per month, which is less than a medium size of pizza. Country to country it is showing the different price. It's not under our control, but I'm happy to hear, or I'm happy to have you as my premium member. So many premium members already been participated on my channel already over here, and you can see already this one premium series is already there. Many of you already have watched that premium series as well. With that you are getting this additional second series as well. So exclusive premium perks on my channel, you can explore it via premium membership. So make sure you be a part of my premium membership. It's per monthly membership, and you can cancel it at any point of time. You are directly paying to the YouTube. You are not paying anything to us right now. This is all about my premium membership. If you are looking for any live training which I'm conducting on my training company powerplatformtrainings.com, you can always visit our website. It's www.powerplatformtrainings.com. Once you go there, you can see always the upcoming trainings underneath this particular section, and you can check out the different dates over here. We are having upcoming Power Automate training program, as well as Power BI training program, as well as Model Driven Apps training program. So currently 5 training programs are there. You can always connect us using our upcoming training section using powerplatformtrainings.com's official website. All right, if you don't want to continue to my memberships over here, thank you so much for watching my content. I really appreciate that you are watching. Obviously free content is always there, and I'm always uploading the free content on my YouTube as well. That is my main goal for starting the channel. So you can always enjoy the free perks over there. For premium membership you can enroll yourself. But thank you so much for watching my video. I hope this is adding some value and in your career, and add a value in your time. So with that note, I would like to say goodbye for today, and see you in the upcoming class with some amazing content. Till then, stay safe, keep smiling, and enjoy your rest of the day. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Goodbye.